Welcome to the video lecture associated with nulls in SQL. So you remember from your create table statements that certain fields can be set to not null and some can be left to allow nulls. So null is an interesting value in that it isn't a value. It's an unknown. So trying to find nulls in using SQL is a little different than what you would normally think. So I'm going to go to Query Design. I'm going to once again close my Show Table dialog box. I'm going to click my SQL to switch to SQL view, and I'm going to shrink this down, and I'm going to go to the customer table once again. Well, actually, the customer table isn't even a good example. Here's a better one. So this isn't a good example either. Employee, that's better. So the textbook uses the employee table, the customer table. So the employee table is better. So the employee table, when we're looking at the employee table, you can see that we have zip code has blanks in it and supervisor has blanks in it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to ask the database to tell us what records have nulls in those columns. So again, I'm going to select star because I don't care about what gets displayed here. I'm going to select from employee T. And in my where clause, I want the where clause to tell me what records have nulls in them. So what a lot of students will do will say where employee zip code equals null, right? Or they do this. This is another one, right? Because they think the word null is what we're equating. That's actually not the case. So when we run that, obviously none of the zip codes are equal to NULL. If we go back to SQL view and we get rid of the apostrophes, because then you think to yourself, oh, well, that was the problem. You know, it actually isn't the word null, it's actually null. And we run that, nothing comes back again. And the reason for that is because you can't use the equal sign to equate something to a null, because a null is an unknown value. So the way you do that is using is null. So you say employee zip code is null. When I run that, I get both records because neither record has a value in the zip code column field. So if we switch this, we do it with supervisor, right? So employee supervisor. And again, this is a table that references itself. This is a unary relationship in the employee table going back to our database design, right? Because that employee supervisor is actually Robert Lewis. See how that works? So Robert Lewis's employee ID is 454566768. And that's the employee supervisor of Jim Jason. So Jim Jason's supervisor is Robert Lewis. Pretty cool, right? Just figured I'd point that out while we're here. So now we're going to look for the employee supervisor is null. And when I run that, I get Robert Lewis. Robert Lewis, therefore, is the boss. Because if Robert Lewis doesn't have a supervisor, they're the boss. It's logic. So that's how you do that. There's also the not keyword. So if I say is not null, that does the opposite. That's going to tell me who is null, is not null. So that's going to give me Jim Jason because he does have a value in his employee supervisor column. All right, so that is my video lecture on using and finding nulls in SQL.